Hi guys, it's Brandon Burton, and I wanted to talk to you about soul age. Soul age. Um, I'm gonna also recommend that, if you are super connected and attached to a religion or a certain way of thinking, that this video may not be for you. I'm gonna just discuss about soul age and talk about how we are regulated as far as maturity with our soul. You then first have to realize and understand that souls are not brand new at birth. Our bodies are, our brain, our heart, like all of these things are brand new. And each part of our body, and each part of our experience in this life influences emotion. Emotions are triggered by the human body. And our soul, the job of our soul is to receive those lessons and to grow from that. Now, not everybody has the soul maturity of getting through their life, which is sometimes why they may exit their life by self-choice, because they attached themselves to a lifetime that it was too hard, it was too difficult, they couldn't do it. You also need to understand that as a soul, you do choose your journey, you do choose your parents, you do choose the things that happen in your life before it actually happens. A part of soul age is how you overcome certain parts of your life by learning or receiving the lessons that your soul intended to learn. And when you control yourself through these lessons and you grow from them, you're learning from them, and that advances your soul age. We measure age based on physical appearance. Every year, you're a new year. But souls do not age that way. Souls age in several ways, but one of the ways is how we learn from the lessons that happen in our life. So oftentimes you may ask yourself, like, why did I go through this? Why did I go through that? Why did I experience that pain? So our body digests this emotion as pain. Our soul, stepping outside of our body, looks at it as an experience that only because of that experience you felt whatever it is that caused. Most of the time it's super painful, but where it hurts the most is where you learn the most. Because if you think about your life and when it's really good, you're not learning during those times. You're not gaining anything from that except for peace and happiness and joy. And I'm not trying to also discredit your emotion. I'm not trying to tell you how you should feel. I'm certainly not trying to tell you you shouldn't feel sad or you shouldn't feel angry or you shouldn't feel, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just talking about how our journeys are with the reality of our soul's purpose. You need to remind yourself that we're not guaranteed anything. At birth, we're not guaranteed a mom, we're not guaranteed a dad, we're not guaranteed a family, we're not guaranteed a sibling, we're not guaranteed life, we're not guaranteed anything. But you need to remind yourself that we actually already knew what this life would be like. There's a thing called soul amnesia, where we forget. We forget our past lives, we forget our past experiences, we forget everything. And the reason is because if you remembered what your other lives were like, where your soul, because your soul keeps traveling back through lifetimes. You can call it reincarnation, that's what it is. But if you're like me, you have kind of a weird stigma about reincarnation because of your upbringing. And so I'm just here to tell you, like, I was once there with that. I totally get some of you and thinking like that's blah. But it makes so much sense to me, and I'll tell you why. So there are kids that say things that make them appear to be like old souls, right? Kids that say and comprehend life. And I'm pretty certain there's a huge widespread of older souls with a younger generation right now because the world needs to be fixed. And you have to understand that it goes the opposite way. If you see a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old and they just can't seem to get their life together, or they're short fused, they get agitated quickly, they get annoyed quickly, they get angry quicker, they're a young soul trying to figure it out. And like, no matter what, like no matter if you look at their life and be like, why are you angry? Like, you have a really great life. You know, you may have a really good job, you may have good money, you may have children who love them, but they still can't seem to find happiness and joy. It's because they're a young soul and they're trying to figure it out. So oftentimes we kind of expect a certain physical age with expectations that don't actually exist. What I mean by that is, I think all of us, most of us, have walked at some point or another and just literally expected us to hit 25 or to 35 or to hit 40 years old and all of a sudden feel like we should be able to get it. Be like growing up, if you're like me, I just assumed that I would hit certain ages and like I would grow up, or I would understand things, or I would feel like I got it all figured out. But I think you've noticed that as you've gotten older, it's been the opposite. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I literally don't get it. Like, I don't know why this is so hard. I don't know why this life is so hard. And it's not anything except for your soul going through this lifetime to learn. But because of previous lifetimes, you've experienced other situations. You've already experienced lessons. So that's why you look at some people and you may be like, I don't understand why you don't get it. Like, I don't understand why you can't seem to comprehend XYZ. It's because you've already gone through that life portion in a different lifetime. And so your soul can digest things differently because of that growth. So you've aged out of where that person might be in right now, which is why sometimes we find it very difficult to see eye to eye with people. And I'm going to promise you that those kinds of people are in your immediate soul circle, like a parent, a sibling, a spouse, a child. Because that's where the true tests come in. That's where the true lessons come in, when they are immediately connected to you. So that's called a soul family. And when you pass over, you are back into that soul family. There's so much information that I've been able to obtain and learn and really experience with my own readings, with my own meditations, within my own spiritual awakening. Plus, I love to do research because I'm all about facts. I'm all about science. I'm all about the analytical portion of things. And there's been so many people that have done so many studies on past life regressions and souls and the journey of them, and it does parallel similar to certain religions and things. So it's not that religion isn't there, or it's not that religion isn't real. It's just, I think, in my opinion, some of the man-made elements in certain religions is what I'm not a fan of. But I will say, like, it does parallel. But nonetheless, this is just about understanding why certain things have to happen in our lifetime. The bigger picture of things is it's because your soul needs to experience big magnitude of situations for you to feel the emotion, for you to express yourself, for you to be able to get through it. If it was so easy, this lifetime wouldn't be beneficial. You need to also imagine like a soul, your soul existing before this lifetime, because that is the reality. It's interesting, and that's what makes us all different, but yet the same. How we're all in similar looking bodies, but we're all so different. Our personalities are different, the way we think is different, but a lot of that is fueled by our soul. But sometimes a soul can be so young that it cannot control or get a grasp on the mind. And sometimes we can be too into our mind to be spiritually awoke. And it's oftentimes that people are in that situation who are skeptical or who do not see signs and symbols around them, who are closed-minded, who are very, very closed off to the reality of the spiritual realm and the way that the souls work. You know, our lives are not supposed to be intended to live in pain. Like, we're not supposed to live 24/7 in suffering and pain. And sometimes we find ourselves living in that bubble. And I think that if we are spiritually awoke, we can understand the reason and the purpose behind what we would consider very bad things. And it's not to define us or to control us, it's to get through it and to allow it to change us, to allow us to grow from to allow us to grow from it. Because if you look at your life now and you've experienced some really crummy situations in your life, look at your life now. I can almost promise you that you're doing really well, and there's less obstacles in your way than there was before. Now, if you're going through some big changes right now, it's probably because your soul needs to go through this at this time of your life. So what I'm trying to get at is the age of souls, you can see clear as day, but we don't ever say it that way. We just say, well, he's immature, he's mature, or why can't he get his life together? Or why can't he do this? Why can't he seem to see my perspective? It's because we're all on different waves as far as soul maturity. And it makes so much sense to me. And I'm sure over time with some of you, it'll make more sense. But then I'm hopeful that this is clicking with some of you. Like, I've always thought that, but now it makes more sense. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is the quicker you can kind of come to a sense of understanding that the situations that arise in your life, you technically chose because you chose this life. I know that's level 40 of Soul Land, but you did. You chose this life, and your soul did. And if you're, well, why did I choose parents that were shitty? Well, because without those crappy parents, you wouldn't be who you are now. You have power of choice to be the generational pivot. You have power of choice to be different. And let me tell you something, nothing is more liberating than getting to the age of your parents when they were making bad choices. And then you open your eyes to the idea of like, whoa, my whole life I've been blanketed with they did the best they could. When the reality is they had power of choice to make better decisions and they chose not to. And to get to that point in life, that's a whole different ballgame. But it's not to hold on to. It's to do better. It's to grow. It's to gain. It's to hit a milestone in your generation, in your genealogy, or in your ancestor lineup that they didn't get the chance to change. And we are in the era of change. People are changing left and right. We are becoming more woke, I guess if you will, with society, celebrities. We're growing in communities. That's where all of this stuff is coming to light on equality. It's because people are choosing to change, and they are increasing their vibrations with love, with acceptance. And if you do your part right, you can be a part of that. But unfortunately, not everybody will. And so that leads me to say, your spiritual journey is for you. It's not for anybody else. And if there's anyone that can understand this concept, it's definitely me, because there's nothing more isolating than becoming awoke and being spiritually aware of your purpose, your surroundings, lower vibrational people, higher vibrational people. And what I mean by that is low vibration people would be like Debbie Downers, people who are judgy and just don't see happiness or love in anything. Higher vibration people could care less about what their neighbors are doing, and they're happy because they are on cloud 9 of being free of any anchors And those are people usually who cut ties with close relatives who are anchoring them down, which leads me to say that in your spiritual awakening, you will find yourself feeling alone, feeling isolated. It's because you've got to trust yourself. It's a process. It is because without you being on your own team, who's going to be for you? Nobody. Because we all landed on planet Earth to be our own individual soul journey with assistance of our soul families. So that's why it's important that you understand that you chose the people in your circle before you were even born, because you knew that they could help you out of whatever it is. But it requires you to make bold and brave decisions to either cut the ties from them or to say, hey, in order for me to be who I am, you're going to need to accept it and we can grow together, or I'm going to need to take a break from our relationship while I figure out me, and then we can come back together with new standards, new expectations, new boundaries. And I'm saying that not everyone's going to give into that. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone is going to accept that. And therefore, you may have to say, okay, therefore, I can no longer be in a relationship with you. And unfortunately, I'm referring to close relatives. Now, I don't know your journey. And fortunately for mine, I did not have to cut out people like that. But I do know that there's certain things that I can't talk about. There's certain things I can't bring up in my circle because it makes them uncomfortable. And that's fine, because I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing this for me. I just need to feel accepted and loved and appreciated, or not appreciated, approved or validated, not approved, just aware that they still love me. That's all. For me to be able to explore and to be me. And I think that this is important for you to do if you are awakening into your own line of spirituality. Does this mean that you exit out of a church? Does this mean that you detach yourself from religion? That is completely up to you. Completely up to you. I do think that there are individuals who are being pulled away from organized religion because of certain standards that are changing in our world that the churches aren't agreeing with. And I think that because of that, because of what the world is going through and how the churches, or religion, I should say, aren't also opening their eyes to certain things, I think that that's becoming a turnoff for a lot of people, and they're recognizing what they feel to be real or right or wrong or whatever. And everyone has their own journey. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you permission to open your mind to feel what you feel is to be true, and what you feel is to be that tug and that gut feeling that something more is out there, and that this is a part of a temporary phase of life in general. And everyone plays a role in our life, whether they're the alcoholic, the druggie, the teacher, the mentor, the boss lady, the quiet person, the lonely person, the person who's always into everyone's business. There's so many roles that people take into our lives, and we just have to learn to utilize our resources from those types of roles. And when you become awoke to what's really happening, you'll understand the importance of who's in your life and why they're in your life, and how you can utilize them to grow. One of the best things I saw was people in our life who make us feel triggered is a gift from God, because they are showing us where we are weak. So if somebody in your family says certain things to you or brings up certain things and it's a trigger and you respond in a certain way, chances are high that that is stemmed from your upbringing. And to correct that behavior, you need to start appreciating that trigger and then correct it. And rather give it power, you take that power back and you say, no, I got control over this and I'm going to change my life. That's how soul lessons come into play. And that's why we have people in our life who we may consider are messed up. Like, why do I have this type of person in my life? Why is this kind of person my parent? Why is this kind of person my spouse? Why is this kind of person my child? It's because it's for you to develop an ability to fix whatever emotional standpoint that's inside your body, the trigger to correct, to be the change. But only you have the power of choice to do that. And so, what I'm trying to get at is from ages of souls, understanding that this isn't our first journey and that everyone in our life right now has a reason and a purpose. And it's not to be painful, it's not to be excruciating, it's to bring awareness to the things that we need to learn, to change, and to be grateful for. And then you'll find clarity, and then you'll be able to move freer with your life, letting go of fear and tension, thinking that bad things are going to happen to you because of your upbringing or because of your past. When you are correcting behavior issues, it goes onto your offspring, and then they are no longer embodying the same trauma. Did you know that you can embody trauma up to 3 generations? So there's so many built-in instinct that we have, and that it makes sense because each generation gets better or worse, and so it's your job to correct it because you've embodied it. Have you ever thought about how the world just keeps getting more advanced and advanced and advanced, but we're never like, why? Like, how do we know what to do better? Like, how do we know, like, hundreds of years, right? It's not just within a lifetime. It's because we do cycle back through and we only improve. And it's because our souls are learning, our souls are developing, our souls are advancing. We just look at current day and just think, well, yeah, we've come a long ways. But what we're not understanding is the bigger picture of souls coming back through, and every 50 to 100 years, souls cycle back through. And so we're able to advance because we've already lived through a lot of these experiences. We've already, history repeats itself. Well, it's because history is reliving itself because our souls were there. I know that this is kind of crazy to some of you, but then to some others, I know it makes sense. And I could talk about this for days, which is why this video is way longer than I intended it to. And take it for what it is, take it for what it's worth for you. I'm not trying to start a cult. I'm not trying to do anything except for just talk about my experiences, talk about my information, downloads that I've been able to receive from my spirit guides and from my own research. And there's so many people out there who have gone through this, and you just have to remember that not everybody goes through a spiritual awakening in their lifetime. So if you're married to somebody who is maybe not seeing eye to eye with you, that's okay. Let them feel that. Let them experience what they're going through because that's intended for them. Your spiritual awakening is completely individually yours. And don't feel like you have to have somebody to validate your experience. Go through it. Know that what you're feeling is real. And continue to open your eyes to what you're feeling because they're trying to get your attention. And I'm saying them because we all have spirit guides. Spirit guides are like soul mentors. These are guides. These are souls who have lived through enough lifetimes to experience everything and to almost be like masters at soul living. And so that's why we reincarnate as much as we can, because when you get to that level, you no longer have to come back because you've lived through it all. Dolores Cannon is a good resource she talks about how we all go through different cultures and different races, different types of beings. We experience it all so we can truly understand and learn and gain every lesson intended for our soul to be a spirit guide or where we don't have to come back. it's very advanced information, and I know that I kind of just word vomited. So I'm hopeful, though, eventually I'll have more of an organized, structured information for those that are going through this, because I was once there. I was there. I was alone. I cried for days and weeks because nobody understood me. And I'm learning that that was on purpose, because without my trust within myself, I truly let go of control with validations from other people. Does that make sense? Like letting go of feeling like someone had to validate me in order for me to continue this journey. And so this is me telling you, you don't need anybody to validate you, but this is also me validating you. So continue to do what you're doing. And I'm, I'm just very excited for you. And I just am sending you all the positive light and encouragement as you are embracing your life. So thanks for watching.